Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today is the day, I think. We are going to be putting some soybeans in the ground by the end of the day. Granted, there's a 50% chance of rain at 5, so it could not happen just as well as it could happen. But first, Dad said last night he was done hauling manure, but I'm going to call him again this morning to confirm so that I can unhook that tractor. That is currently the only workhorse we have at our disposal. 8430, I think you guys know, is in the shop. That had a catastrophic failure of the transmission last year, and we are just now getting around to splitting it and pulling the top shaft and taking that down to the dealer and getting that sorted parts wise, and then we'll put it all back together. 4440, when it was hauling manure, it busted the whole cradle that holds the drawbar on. And then in doing so, when it came crashing down, it busted the whole cast wishbone up there farther that the drawbar slides into. That is where Dad is at right now, currently going. He's down in Ohio getting a new wishbone and trying to find out how we get the pin out that holds it on, because it will not come out. But we have about 20 acres that has to be worked. That is the first field to be planted. And then after that, once we get that worked up, depending on what the weather looks like, if we're getting close to 5, we are not going to unhook and switch over to the planter. We will just keep working ground that needs to be worked until the rain comes, because or otherwise, if the rain disappears off the forecast or we get done really early, we will switch over to the planter and get all our early beans in. This first round of beans, the first there's 100 acres, but 70 of which will be going to wheat in the fall, so we want to get all that in, and then we also would kind of like to get it all in at once so that it can all come off at once in the fall. Alright, looking at the weather forecast now, it is definitely going to rain in a couple hours here, so we're going to just go ahead and start unhooking, and hopefully we can get the other stuff hooked up pretty easily and go right to work here. We got to replace the PTO shaft on this next year. I think I'm going to start a spreadsheet, because I got a few things I know of that need to be fixed, but we'll have to wait. So I might start a spreadsheet just so I don't get lost next year, because something like this you can't tell just by looking at it until you start trying to use it. So yeah, I would end up running this through the shop, probably saying it's ready to go, and then realizing the PTO shaft doesn't telescope like it should anymore. But what's happening is these are becoming wore, and when it runs on the tractor, it twists over just a little bit and gets stuck. And I was able to just untwist it a lot of times, but now it's getting to where you got to tap it off with a hammer. I noticed the hammer strap is loose, so I'm going to pull over to the shop and tighten that up real quick. Now, the chisel plow's in the way of the disc, and I have like 3 acres that's got to be chisel plowed, and then we can be completely done with it and we can hook it up, unhook it out back and call it good. So I am thinking I should probably, since I'm going to be hooked onto it anyway, just go out and do it, because it's right here behind the farm. It's just the tracks that I packed down with the manure tanker. So, and one part does get awfully wet when it rains, and I think I'll just go do that real quick. We're all hooked up, we're heading out. Get this done real quick. I'm guessing if we could get started fitting, discing, we'll probably be rained out before the 20 acres. Let's just focus on the first task at hand, and that's chisel plowing. Alright, so we've got this lane that I was hauling across this field out to the road with the manure tanker, so we're chiseling this up, and then the back headlands is where I did most of the driving when I tanked this field as well, so we're doing that as well. And then after that, should be done chisel plowing for the year. Now we had this 15 acres on that side that's all green, because I burnt this off already. That is, or was supposed to be rye that we drilled last fall, and we were going to bale it off for feed, but it didn't come in. But luckily we need to put a hay seeding in, so we are going to seed that 15 acres to hay. if I play my cards right and I don't get out there too early and rut it up with the sprayer, we should be able to just burn it off and then drill immediately right after. I'm able to drive through it, but I don't dare put the chisel plow down, because if I start spinning, we just go down. So yeah, it's got water running out of it every day, so that means the solids are drying out. But they'll be wet there for probably a year or two, so it's a small sacrifice to pay for being able to close that lagoon up, or that manure pit up. I'm using my new windshield wiper. Just got the disc and the crumbler hooked up. I actually hooked them both up individually, all by myself. And that was a trip, but I got it. I think we're gonna go out and try it. We got a little bit of rain when I was chisel plowing, but it was immeasurable. The driveway's already dried out, and you can't even tell it happened, so I think we'll go out and start tilling. If we get rained out, then we get rained out. Got dust flying. I'm missing some. This wing is out of alignment on this side. It's not going in the ground all the way. So for this field, it's not a big deal, just overlap, since we are trying to beat the rain here. But when I get up to the farm, there's a turnbuckle on that wheel. I need 2 wrenches, and we'll adjust it and get it level with the rest of the disc so that it's going in the ground the same. I guess I should tell you guys the date. You guys are probably curious on what day it is, because the videos don't come out on a dated thing. So it's April 23rd right now. If we started planting today, it would be 4 days earlier than last year. A lot earlier than any usual year. We don't usually start planting until May, but we've been trying to push our bean yields, so getting them in the ground earlier seems to be the biggest driving factor in yield increase. But, yeah. So we got this field probably 2/3 of the way done now, and this side was organic ground that we have now pulled out of production, and so this is going to go into a 2292 Golden Harvest bean. It's just going to be regular Cruiser Max treatment. And then over there, that is standing rye that we drilled last fall, around middle or earlier part of October. So we are going to plant directly into that standing rye cover. We're going to plant into it, and then the day of planting, because of our current subsoil moisture, that sort of deal, we're going to spray it 1 quart of Roundup day of planting or day after. Sorry, I had to put you guys down there. I was like right at the nose, I saw water. I was like, oh shoot, but I managed to charge right through it. Just had to lift the disc up. It's crazy because this field, usually you can't farm a bunch of little, any of those low spots, but I went right through them, no problem. There's no water. It's a little tacky, but other than that, it's fine. But then you come back here along this tree line, and there's just moisture like crazy there. I don't know what it is. I'm not risking going through it because there's water on the surface. It's weird. Places where you don't see water, there is, and places where it's usually wetter, it could be as dry. Alright, so we're back up at the farm, field's done. And this is the problem I'm addressing. This wing, for some reason, is up higher. Now, we did replace this cylinder a few years ago, I think. Last year, maybe. And it's the same length as the middle ones. It's a 3.25 by 8. The middle ones are 3.5s, but still by 8. And I don't know if this cylinder could have air or something in it, because those ones all are down farther for sure than this one. But I was originally planning on just adjusting this. There's adjustment here. There's not a whole lot. That might get me to where I need to be, but it might not. So I may also, because what is holding this disc at a constant depth, this one has a this depth adjustment here. I may zero that all the way out on the top and just cycle it up and down and somehow try and, I don't know if there's a way to depressurize that cylinder or not, to bleed it. I'll find out what Dad knows. I'm guessing if you run it down and then crack one of the lines, I don't know which one. I'm guessing this one. I'm not sure. It's gonna take some trial and error, but I'm gonna get that adjusted. And then this was pushing dirt in the middle, but I know why, and I don't think I need to do anything to this. That back there, where the two gangs throw dirt together, it's leaving a windrow, and this is pushing it out and leveling it again. It's not giving me problems, but I know to watch. Oh, and I didn't mention that whole huge rainstorm that's coming through. It's back down to a 40% chance, so if it doesn't rain, I gotta look at my list and see what fields have to be done first, because I'm gonna try and fit in the order I'm planting. And then if I've got a good 200 acres of fit ground, and I don't know, might not do anything, we might get the planter set up for tomorrow, and we'll go at it right away tomorrow. So we're out of square bales, so we're just baling up some rounds so that we got enough to get through. We need one more month worth of hay. Well, good morning, guys. After a fairly decent day of fitting, yesterday, we were going to switch over to the planter, I think. It does feel a little cold to be putting seed in the ground, but today is the only cold day. It's a high of 50 today. Right now it's like 35. It's frigid. And then tonight it's supposed to drop to like 28. And then after that, it's above 50s at night, 80s during the day. So I don't really want to lose a day that I could be putting seed in the ground, because we only have 3 days here. So I would rather, the seed's just going to sit for a day, and then the soil's going to be, it's not going to affect the soil temperature having one cold day, I don't think. So I think we will be all right. And we are planting a good bean anyway, so we should be a-okay. I gotta move these pallets out of the way, but we're gonna grab this one first. This pallet, this is plot seed, bags on top, but we're planting the 2292 Golden Harvest. This is the bean that we follow our wheat behind in the fall. So we have a pallet of 40 bags, as well as a box. That box is also Celtro treated because it is going on bean ground. So our rotation has kind of been bouncing all over the place the last couple of years, but what we've kind of settled on is when we run beans on beans, we run 50 to 80 acres of beans on beans, and then those acres fold right into wheat, and then after the wheat we put a cover on, a good nitrogen building cover. That's what we're trying to do anyway, and then follow it with either corn or go back to beans again, because we're kind of fluid on our rotation because we want to follow the market. The market's not really calling for corn anymore like it used to be a while ago, so we've been backing off corn acres and growing beans. It's been more profitable, and I know you don't gross as much at the end of the year, but you're ending up with more in your pocket after all your expenses are paid. Now next year we will be adding more corn acres because of the fact that our organic ground is coming back into conventional rotation. So that is a lot of beans for us to try and take off, and a lot of beans to try and get in the ground. So we will probably add 40, I'd say 40 acres of corn probably. So we average about 130 acres a year on corn right now, and that'll bring us up to about 170-ish. And then like this year we are, I think, 350 acres of beans, something outrageous, but it's gonna be changing. So I'm pretty sure I already said, but I got my last 3 loads into the ethanol plant beginning of this week, so contracts are all sorted for this month. Got one more contract next month, another 4 loads, and then we'll be sitting on probably about 2,500 bushel in the bin that we can sell out if there is a summer rally or a early fall rally, which it seems like that's when it happens. It's like end of August, September. That's when the prices seem to rally. It's all hooked up. Gonna start putting seed in. I got pull over there where the driveway's open, unfold, because I haven't greased any of the fold points yet. Grease the gauge wheels. We'll set our closing wheel depth. The last thing we planted was corn, and we are going into tilled ground doing beans. So we'll probably drop our depth a whole step. I consider 1 hole on one side a half step, and then the rest a hole, and see where that starts us. Set our planting gearboxes, pull the plugs on the vac, make sure the vac is running the right direction, and then I think we will be ready. It's amazing how much stuff you find that's got to be done yet on the first day of planting. When you pull it out of the shop, you're like, yep, it's completely ready to go. But when I pulled it out, I knew I still had to grease it. The gearboxes, I don't think I usually have to change from corn to beans. My plates usually change the population enough, but I think we will have to drop them down due to the fact that the fields we are going into, due to the fact that we dropped organic, I'm spreading the seed a little bit more. Instead of planting 120,000, we are going 110 on these first couple fields just to make the seed work. And then after that, there's a few being planted at 118 and then 120 on the rest of it. So we're running that 80-20 talc graphite mix, and we're gonna run that for a few fills here, 1 or 2, and then once we get that worked through the meters, we will go to a straight talc, and we will alternate every other fill, the 80-20 to the regular talc, so that the regular is just a little bit cheaper, and talc is based more for treated seed, and then graphite is for maintenance on the meters. So it doesn't have to be with beans, since we're filling so often. It's not a big deal to me anyway. Would rather have totes, which after we get our hybrid situation figured out, Golden Harvest discontinued a variety that we really like, and so we are experimenting with a few now, and that's partly what the test plot's for there, is to find our replacements. Once we have our replacements, there will be way more than 2 bolts in this barn next year. We will be back to 4 or 5, and there will be a lot less bags. 2, when I use the tender, I can heap these boxes right up. I usually have a crown over the top of the boxes when I'm filling. And so, yeah, so you can see we're coming up a little short. Now, once we have things working, and I know I don't have to come back here and pull boxes off and deal with all that, then we can probably still fill these all the way up with the bags and just split bags. But for now, we're gonna run it the way it is. All right, so everything's set, but I'm not getting signal to my ag leader monitor from my seed sense module back there, so I'm trying to figure that out. I've unplugged and plugged back in all the CAN harnesses, and I'm even on CAN B now instead of CAN A, and it's still not working. So I don't know if that means that module's bad or what, but we got power to it, and yeah, it's weird. I got it figured out. I am just waiting on a call back from my ag leader dealer to see if he's got the replacement parts and if he can drop them off, because I think he's up north of us right now and he'll drive by on his way home, or if I gotta drive down to his place and get one. But it's this little doohickey, it plugs in right here, and at some point, because this worked right up until the end of planting last year, at some point when it was going into storage or when I unfolded it in the shop, this busted. It was right there. And so I noticed this in the shop. So I have so much unnecessary time spent today because I saw this and I saw it was busted, but I was like, well, it might still work. And I figured it worked because the last field we planted, I didn't have any problems, and it folded once or twice since then. So I had zip tied it back like this, and apparently that's it. There it is, the proof. That is from last night and all our little showers this morning. It's just barely above 1/10 of an inch. And that farm, or that field, was fairly fit to plant yesterday, so it's just a waiting game. Tractor's fueling up. Check the tires on the planter. Got the relay from the ag leader dealer that fixed our problem. We're going to plant beans, folks. And there it is. I got the 12 bags that are in the planter. I got 12 bags in my truck. That'll easily be enough to finish the 20. That's my goal for tonight, is to get that 20 done. If I can move, I still have to go through once we get in the field and set all my closing wheel tails. There's a few that are off a little bit, but if that doesn't take me very long, hour and a half, I should be able to knock that 20 out. And then come back tomorrow and hit it hard. Hopefully get all our wheat ground covered. All right, just put it in the ground, drove forward a bit. We're gonna check our parallel arms. They are, the first one's off, but it looks like the rest of them are pretty well level. The toolbar is pretty much level up here. It actually looks like it could go up just a hair. We might make that adjustment, but we're not planting yet. We're just rolling over the ground, and we're gonna go through and check all of these. That one is off a little bit, so nothing's got spring tension on it. I can loosen it up, move it. I'll go through, get them all ready, and then I'll bring you guys back when we are actually planting. All right, we're all set. I'm going to back up. I think there's a few of these downforce springs that aren't on, so we'll lift up, back up, put those springs on, and then start planting, check our depth. I adjusted that row cleaner down. We'll see how it does there. Let's get started. So there's no dust. It is a tiny bit tacky underneath, but we're planting beans. I got that row cleaner pretty much dialed. I really like it. Honestly, I fell in love with it the first time I put it down and went the first 10 feet, because it just plowed a V and the row unit had a nice smooth spot. So Yeah, I'll have to get Dad in the planter with that thing and show him that it's worth putting 11 more on. So I got it pretty well just about out of the ground. The tips are just barely spinning. That's why you see it. Yeah, every now and then you still see a V that it's running, but it's basically just there to push clods out of the way, give a smoother run for the row unit. It's really going to shine when we get into the no-till, I think. If they'll start moving the corn stalks out of the way and all that, I think it'll be really awesome. That's for another day. Alright, so I've got a straight edge on that field that I usually work off of. Because I got to do this work section first, that side's not straight at all. I'm going to try and strike a perfectly straight line here. We're going to end up doing a little no-tilling on the end just because this field's never been squared off. And then we're probably going to end up with point rows on both sides of the field, but, you know, it is what it is. There's always next year to correct it. Definitely going to have to wash windows tomorrow morning. I'm going to hit that tree with the row marker. You can't just cheat the row markers up on this planer like you could with the 7240 that we had a long time ago, so you just got to kind of improvise. There's a little bit of a curve there now, but we would have had to go around it anyway, so not a big deal. I think we're going to turn our lights on. There we go. LEDs to the rescue. So that tree, I think there's 10 acres to the right, 15 to the left. So we've done everything to the right. And yeah, about 9.5 acres actually. So still playing right around. We've been favoring the higher side, 111,000. I guess if we run out of this hybrid before I get to the other side, then I'll call my seed guy. Hopefully he has some more, but I also have a NK number, I think it is, coming, a 1.9 that we can spot in and fill some areas with. All in all, if I end up running out of seed, I have 4 different places I think I can get them, so I'll be alright. All in all though, I am really impressed with that row cleaner back there. Dad saw it, he came out, and he was really impressed too. He immediately asked me if the dealer had the stock to put the next 11 on, because he seriously thinks it's going to pay for itself in emergence. But I guess, truth be told, we'll find out when it emerges. But I think there will be a difference. Will it amount to a yield? I don't know. Anyway. Sitting here running the point rows. This should be the last round, but you can see I'm planting 6 rows just to cover that little 1 or 2 row wide gap. Now if this was corn, I won't typically plant until I can put 6 rows in the dirt and not be overlapping those 6, but because beans don't canopy like corn does, and because you can see it for most of the year from the road, plus you can cut in any direction when you're harvesting. Numerous number of reasons, I will typically plant right down to the last row. Just the way I do it. Your mileage may vary. Just like that, we're done for the night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the frost is already down. All this rye is white right now. It's 10 o'clock at night and it's already managed to frost. Hopefully, that does not hurt the wheat. The wheat will definitely probably get stung for a bit, but hopefully it does not kill it. We are gonna try and get started right away this morning. I'm gonna take care of a few little things. I'm gonna hook the little trailer onto the truck, and that way we can put the whole pallet of seed on and take it out there. There's about a half pallet left, about 25 bags. It's just easier to leave them on the pallet. When it rains tomorrow night, I gotta go to the grocery store. I'm running deathly low on food. That's never been a problem in planting season before. That's the trailer I'm talking about. I think we gotta take the tailgate off the back, which may prove to be quite difficult one person, but we'll figure this out. Now that the sun's coming up, it should warm up pretty quick, but I'm pretty sure I left the planter where it would be in the sun right away, so that I don't have to deal with windows. Because I don't know if you know this, but at least with the old John Deeres, and I'd assume any old tractor, the heat's not super strong in it, so it takes like hours for it to defrost the windows if your windows are frozen. That's why if you're doing like fall tillage or ripping or stuff like that, you pretty much want to bring your tractor home, put it in the barn. It saves a lot of time. So what I think I'm gonna do this morning is I'm gonna set my depth down a half a notch right away, because we're going right into no-till here. Well, the ground's a little bit wetter this morning than it was yesterday. It should help a bit. But I'm going to show you guys what that row cleaner was doing, because we are really impressed, and we are already looking at getting them on the rest of them. So it looks like it is... Give me a sec. Let's go here in the middle of the field. It'll be easier to see. That way there. So it does stand out once you notice where it's at, but right here. So we got this row that's row cleaner, and this row, and it just pushes all the clods off to the side and kind of levels the tillage plane as it goes. It looks really good. And that one and that one, I think. So yeah, really happy with it. Definitely going to be 11 more on there. I just gotta put talc in now. This left side's planting a little higher than I'd like, so I'm gonna bump the population down. And then the right side's pretty much right at 100%, but this side's up. So we'll drop the pop. Here's something you've never heard before. We're about to plant some soybeans, and I can't feel my hand because of the frost on the seed lids. That half a notch move got me to 1.5 inches out here, so doing pretty good. Finishing up the headlamps in the back here, and then it's just back and forth all day long. Should be able to run quite a while with the fill that I have. Should be a nice 20-acre-ish fill, I think. It'll probably take us up to 35 acres, 40 acres. Rye got kind of sparse here in the back, but there's some natural cover that came through. If I can get this planted today, I'll be out here with the sprayer tomorrow morning, and I'll kill all this off. I got out a little bit ago to change my population. The population's still trending a little higher than I wanted to. And notice the twisters were gumming up. You can see there's a bit of just absolute sliminess on them. So started looking, and we were good when we started. The ground was still firmish, but now that this frost is thawed off and it's soaking in, the top, it's not even the top 1/4 inch of the dirt is just sliminess right now. So and the seed trench ain't closing great, so it's just better. We'll take a break, come back in a couple hours after this frost burns off, and it should be all right again. Put my coffee down over there. I gotta go get it. We got a full load of empty bags. We are 4 bags shy from having 40 bags of beans out of the barn. Time to go try again. I got 1 box loaded in the tender. That'll get us through that end of the field and hopefully through the rest of the early maturity. I'll come back and get that when I'm empty. Dad wants to grind feed, but he's in the middle of performing an oil change on our hay delivery truck, so we'll see who gets done first. It says feed doesn't have to be ground until tomorrow, so if I need seed and he's not done grinding yet, or he hasn't started grinding yet, then I'll just steal the tractor real quick and then because one fill I think will get me through to the end of that field. Now I do have 4 bags of seed in the back of my truck yet. My plan is to save that for when we are over at the other farm, just in case we run short. I'm pretty sure, or just in case we end up having leftover seed, it's in bag form and it's returnable. Now I'm pretty sure we're gonna run short and I'm gonna be driving next town over and getting some more seed to spot in, but I don't really want to steal seed from the rest of our portfolio because I am stretching the seed a little bit to make up for this organic ground coming back, so I'd rather just go out and buy more seed than stretch stuff a little further, but we'll see. If we're shot for time, I don't really have any seed in the barn that can be replaced for this anyway in that maturity range, but we'll just see what happens, I guess. These headlands are planted up to about there. A friend of ours was out running his dog doing some tracking drills this morning, so I didn't do the whole headland up front. But looks like it's dried out. This rye is almost at the point to where you can crimp it. It's still tender in the stalk, but once it gets that harder, crustier part on the bottom, then it'll fold over and crimp. But with the pressure this planter's putting down, it may be crimping the stuff right along the rows. Anyway, we gotta fix this muddy mess we made this morning. Let's go along and rake some of this off. It should clean off once it gets going, but we'll just scrape some of this off real quick. Mud's cleaned out from in between the wheels. There wasn't a whole lot. It was mainly that 6 rows, which makes me wonder if it's just because of in the back, that was the row following the tree line, so that could have been just a wetter part. But we will get going. The little stuff in between the spikes should clean out, and we should be all right, but I will double check when we get to the end and make sure it's all cleaned out properly. I've just got to get to those trees and I'm done with this field. 74 acres. We're almost done. It's been a while. It's been a long day. It says I've been in here almost 6 hours, but we're almost there. Then we only have another 34 to do today. Doing good. Everything's been running good, other than I threw a seed box somehow, fell out of place, and then got a rock stuck in one of my main wheels, but that was, I just had to back up and it kicked it out. And just like that, we're done with this field. First field of 2024, feels good, feels good. We got dust in this field. That's not just a dirty windshield, that's dust flying behind us. This field's got a lot more sand in it, but it's also got valleys that go down to straight muck. So that's why we want to get this one done right away before the rain, because this is probably, well, let me put it this way. Last year we were over here and we could have planted it. We would have mudded up a little bit of it, but we chose not to come in. And that was the driest this field was all year. So we're deciding to just get on it right away while 95, 94, 90% of it-ish is okay to plant, and then that way we don't get in the same bind as last year. I've got 20 acres done in this field. This main section, this little corner that I just finished, there's another corner up by the marsh and another section that wraps around over there that's about 4 acres, 5 acres-ish. So, but I'm gonna get out and check my level on seed because I've done 20 acres and I haven't filled. Getting close. I'll probably go down and do that one little nook and call it good. I also busted a gauge wheel off on a rock. I've got to go out to that rock and see if that's where it's at, because I can't find it. So we'll see if it's out there on the way out. Yep, there it is. I guess I hit that rock harder than I thought I did. Bearings out. Well, got something to fix tomorrow. Alright, we got that field done. 28 acres. We got 5 acres right there to do. Then we're taking this rake home and unhooking it. Probably gonna go out and do a little more tillage, get some more of that done, and just get ready. Fertilizer trucks are gonna be start running next week early, so then we'll be able to start planting again right behind them. Alright, with that, phase 1 of planting soybeans is completed. The first 105 acres are in the ground, and we managed to do it in 3 days, which I think is pretty good. Once we are rolling, hopefully we can cut that time down to 2, but stay tuned for the next one, guys. Thanks for joining me on this little adventure here, and I'll see you next time.